Hello, we're going to do a recap of the last couple days, Thursday and Friday, on a few trades that we made, and they were pretty good ones too. And I'm going to start with BX. And the reason this got on my radar is because it was making new highs on Thursday. Let's see, where is Thursday? Right here. Okay. You can see it was going up on an uptrend pretty fast, and it came up with my scanner, so I decided to look at the calls, and the calls at that particular time, the mid price, because they had a spread, the mid price was like 35 cents, so I loaded in the room at 35 cents, and it was already starting, I mean, it was really going up, so I couldn't get in it, and this was actually me right here at like 41 cents. I mean, I chased it like 6 cents over what I put in there, but like I said, I had a spread, and the mid usually you can get filled in the mid, and I didn't. I ended up getting filled on the asks, but as you can see, it had a good run, and it kept going and going and going, and it looked like it bottomed, and it was going over Tuesday's highs. So I figured, this would be a good for a reversal, and it was. And I always like to try to get 100%, and I end up getting out like right in here. I think this might have even been me, 88 cents. Yeah, it was. And but it went more than 88 cents. Went all the way up to 215 the next day. But I mean, everything's hindsight 2020. You don't know how far it's gonna go, so I like to take it off at 100%. But I mean, I had a good rip, consolidated, then ripped up higher on Friday. I mean, it was a big move, 500% from 41 to 215. I mean, that's a pretty good trade. Then the next one was JP Morgan. Let's see. Let's get JP. No, I don't want to cover that one yet. Where are you? JP Morgan, right here. And that was popping up too. We got, let's see, Thursday. Let's get Thursday here. As you can see, it was consolidating right through here, and it broke out. And I ended up calling the calls, if I can get it over. 118 calls, 32 cents, Thursday at 11:50. And let's see where 11:50 is. Yeah, right where I broke out, right. Yeah, right here is where I mean, I should have got it down here, but I was watching a bunch of things, and 32 cents is when I called it out, and they were, let's see, right in here. That's when I called them out in the room. 11:50. Yeah, right there. And of course, I took it out like 100%. So I end up missing a massive move because it goes from 32 cents to $2.28. I mean, it ripped, and then it consolidated. And at the end of the day, it dropped a little bit, but it had a nice massive gap up the next morning, and the market's trading at near all-time highs, so that kind of made me nervous going into the Fed next week. So, but that's why I like, if you're up a good percentage, I always like to try to take it, or at least reduce the risk. But we caught the breakout from here. I ended up selling into the strength, but I'm sure some probably held overnight and did really well. So you got 32 cents to 228. I mean, that's another 500% move on JP Morgan, and that was a nice little catch we caught. And what was the next? The next one was Google. Okay, let's get rid of this. No, DRAD really wants the spotlight. We'll get into that. Okay, Google. This is, let's see, Wednesday. Yeah, because Tuesday it was bottoming, and then it broke out on Wednesday. And when it broke over here, it started to come on radar, and I got a message saying that the calls are really cheap for a 12.50, and I was just like, oh, okay. So I looked into them, and they were really, really cheap on Wednesday. So I ended up calling out the Google 12.50 calls at 20 cents on Wednesday at 2:07. So let's see. Okay, Wednesday at what time? 2:07. Right here, right at VWAP. Let's watch this. Right in here is when we got the calls, and that was 20 cents at 2:07. Yeah, right here. This is where we were getting in. This is where I loaded it. And boy, I was not expecting for it to do what it did. I mean, 20 cents to massive gap up and sold into strength. I was very surprised. I mean, it bottomed on Monday and Tuesday, and then it started going up on Wednesday, and that's when we caught the calls and for a reversal. But 20 cents, I mean, it was very cheap for calls. I mean, it's 12.15, and Google will go from 12.15 to 12.50 in a couple of days is very doable because they can move 20, 30, 40 ticks in a day. So I mean, 20 cents, I thought that was really cheap. So we jumped on them, and it was a good play. 20 cents all the way. The high was on Thursday, 196, and I mean, I didn't hold for that. I mean, I got out on the low ones. So the one, if you caught the 196, I mean, that was huge. Another 750% on that. And the last one is DRAD, which is not an option play. I got on my radar because all the low float tickers were popping. So, you know, I have a low float list of reverse splits that have not popped. I keep track of them. So I went and looked at DRAD because it hasn't popped at all since the reverse split. And it's been on my radar and in my watch list for a long time. And so I went and took a look at it on Thursday. And when I did, I noticed that they had a merger a couple of days ago. And no one mentioned it at all on StockTwits or Twitter. No one even mentioned it. So I looked up the filing, and I looked up the news to make sure it was legit. And the thing that caught my attention is because right here it's September 10th, and I noticed that on the 12th. And the thing that caught my eye is they had a merger, but they were taking up 300,000 shares, and they were paying $10 per share. And the stock has only got a 1.8 million float. So, I mean, 300,000 of it's gone and locked. So it's a 1.5 million float, and the stock is very, very thin. So I ended up, alerting it on StockTwits and Twitter when I saw the merger news and how much they paid and the shares that got locked up. I mean, I've already showed it, but I'll show it again right here. It's September 12th, 3:34. It was at 447. So I alerted it. It was under 460. And this is exactly where I got it, and I alerted it right at 460. And look at that massive run. I mean, all the way to $7. I mean, that was almost 100% move right there just off that news. And the volume is so thin. I don't have my volume on this chart. No, well. But yeah, the volume is very thin. And, so we had a good move off from that news. I don't know how it went unnoticed. I mean, sometimes news just goes unnoticed, and you have to actually go on these tickers pages and SEC filings and find them for yourself, because I found the same thing on ELTK and EDSA, and they end up having massive moves just like this. So it pays to do some research and check up on these low floats that haven't run in a long time, because there could be something potential waiting that hasn't been discovered, like this merger deal. So when I saw that, I knew this was going to be a huge play, because this has not had a run since it had a reverse split. And reverse splits, they have a tendency of doing a reverse split, then not doing anything for a little while or a few days, and they'll drop news and it'll pop massive. Then they'll end up diluting the stock. I'm not sure if DRAD will dilute, but in most cases they dilute on news so they can raise capital for whatever projects or whatever. But this was just a gold mine, and hopefully a lot took advantage of that, because that was a good move. So that was how the week ended up wrapping up for DRAD, BX, JP Morgan, and Google. And hopefully next week will be another great week. And hopefully you guys took advantage of the calls, and there'll be hopefully more great calls next week. Have a good day.